It's raining at my house right now.
Is it really?
Not
Wow.
raining, sprinkling.
Just a little sprinkles here. Okay. Mm-hmm.
They're big drops though, because I can hear them.
Right. Well, hello, everyone, and good morning. Good morning, Coach SheriAnne, and good morning to everybody that's watching us on Facebook Live here. My name is Alex Juarez. I'm the Communications Director for AARP Arizona, and we want to welcome you to today's show. Remember that AARP is here to support your efforts, and we basically support the efforts of the 50-plus community. This month, the month of April, we talked about fraud, and we have different topics coming up in the summer. We're going to be talking about nutrition, which is a great health and nutrition, which is a great topic because we are talking today with Coach SheriAnne. And with that, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and I hear it's not a good one for me: healthy snacks. So I'm in trouble here, Coach SheriAnne. I'm going to need to take really good notes on this class because I am pretty bad about doing snacks. And I had read that, for example, dark chocolate with almonds was possibly a decent, not a horrible snack. But now you're scaring me. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Coach SheriAnne.
I know. Before I was like, so snacking really, I'm not a big proponent of snacking, and it's actually not very good for you. And
Okay.
it's really interesting because we've kind of grown into this, with when the modern day got set up with work and labor and things like that. That's when the 3 meals a day kind of came into place.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the course of time, we've kind of gone, like, because I've been in the health and wellness industry for a long time, it feels like. But even in the last 20 years, like, we've gotten mixed messages, like it just kind of up and down as far as like what we're supposed to be doing, intermittent fasting, you're supposed to eat 6 small meals a day. There's all of these things that kind of come about, and it's hard to navigate that. And so for people that do want to snack or feel the need to snack, I want to offer up some options for healthy snacks. But before we even jump into that, let me explain the digestive process and why snacking isn't necessarily the best thing for you.
Right.
So, because what happens is when we first put food in our mouth and we start chewing on it, what's the first thing that happens? Like, you salivate, right? Like, you can start salivating even thinking about food. But so in our salivary glands, there's enzymes that are released. So the enzymatic process begins immediately the moment food starts, in your mouth. And that whole enzymatic process actually takes, the whole process for it to get through all the way to defecation can take up to 36 hours. But usually by 6 to 8 hours, it's in your intestines where it's doing the absorption process. But for the first 3 to 4 hours, when we eat, it's actually it triggers a transient inflammatory response in our immune system. And what that means is our body is immediately triggered to, like, you've put something in, we've got to figure out what is it, how do we deal with it? And so enzymes are released to digest, and your body just has a response. And so you have to allow it to go through that entire response, the whole enzymatic process, so that it doesn't, if you interrupt it with snacking, if you eat within 3 to 4 hours of each other, then you're interrupting that process. And then all the enzymes kind of get whacked, and your inflammatory response is whacked. And then plus you end up in a inflamed constant state, which is what's led to, they've discovered, a lot of our aging issues and health issues is because our body's in a constant inflammatory state. Because we're in an inflammatory state just with our surroundings, like what's coming at us with stressors and whatnot. So when you're doing a food stressor that you can control, and so that's why I'm not a huge proponent of snacking, because it just creates this whole inflammatory state in your body. And so it's really important that if you are going to snack, that you make sure that you're eating at least 3 to 4 hours apart from each other.
Okay. So how good is the what's called the intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting. So what's interesting is that's been such a huge craze lately. And that's how we used to eat. Like, decades and decades ago, like ages ago. Like the Europeans, like Romans, they would never even eat breakfast. Like if you ate breakfast, well, they
Hmm.
called it breakfast. They call it, I don't even know what they called it then. We've named it breakfast.
Sure.
But is you just you start that whole process. And so intermittent fasting, the whole point of intermittent fasting is to allow your
Right.
body to go through the whole enzymatic process, the whole digestive process.
Sure.
And it allows you to actually need to eat. We've gotten to a place in our society where and when people want to snack, this is perfect. Because when people want to snack, what I ask them is like, why are you snacking? Are
Excellent.
you emotionally eating? Are you depressed? Are you really hungry? And so if you're really hungry, then let's evaluate your meals. And so it's just really important to literally think about why you're eating, because
Hmm.
it's something, the whole thing, we eat emotionally here in
Right.
in the West. And so
Yeah.
we don't eat to survive, and
That's
so
true.
and
It's to
that's
satisfy some cravings, probably, right?
right. So the
Yeah.
point of intermittent fasting is to really just allow your body to get to a place to where it actually needs food. It needs nutrients, because
Okay.
once it needs it, then it's going to utilize it. If you're eating because you're bored or emotionally eating, which is a really common thing with snacks. Usually when people sit down to their computer, and especially when we're at home, working from home, and the kitchen is like 10 feet that
Yeah.
way, it's so easy. You're just bored. And so it's so easy to go get something and then sit there and just like snack away,
Yeah.
and so be very cognizant of when you're going to get a snack, why are you getting it?
Okay.
And if you're bored, go get a big glass of water, maybe slice a lemon or put something in it, and then just chug some water, sit for like 10 minutes and see if it passes. Because that's
Mhm.
another thing is some people are kind of like, I think I'm hungry. I don't know if I'm hungry. Because if you start thinking about food, hunger pains will hit. Like you'll all of a sudden you'll hear your intestines. And that's what's funny is when people hear like it's stomach grumbling, it's not your stomach. It's actually your intestines. They're working because they're getting ready, because they're doing the propulsion thing. So because they're getting ready to have more food put in. And
Yeah.
so when you hear that tummy grumbling, it's actually your intestines like working.
Okay. So now I'm at fault. I am probably one of those eaters that, I get bored probably and I go and grab something and snack. I'm working from home all this year, etc. What do I do? How can I train my mind not to do that? And second, how often how often should we do the intermittent fasting?
Well, if you can, so that's a big discussion. I mean, it's different for everybody, and a lot
Okay.
of it depends on. So the biggest mistake that happens when people try intermittent fasting is they stick to the same size meal and they just pretty much cut a meal out. So they're just
Okay.
eating like they'll get up and they'll eat a late breakfast and then they'll eat their dinner and then they're an early dinner and then they'll go from 5 all the way to 9 o'clock. But they're keeping the same size meals that they would normally do if they were. So you have to take your whole caloric need for the day and divide it into 2 meals, and then make sure you're getting enough calories in those 2 meals, because it's a common mistake. And that's the reason why people like intermittent fasting, and because they can
Sure.
lose weight, but then they go
Hmm.
back to the regular way of eating. And the reason they're losing weight is because they're not consuming as many calories. So
Right.
there's a lot of discussion that goes around intermittent fasting that it's very, very individualized. And so
Yeah.
if you're working out and training, which I hope you all are at least 5 days a week, then that changes your needs as well. And so it's a very specific, very individualized thing. There's no cookie cutter plan for intermittent fasting. But if you can do it and be disciplined with it, it's actually very, very good for your body. Your digestive system will be so much happier because it's
Yeah.
not being interrupted. And I know this sounds, but your solid waste will be better. Like there's so many things that can happen. Your skin will be better. Everything works better.
So if you're going to be doing that intermittent fasting, so let's say that you have dinner at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening prior day, then you wait until what time the following day to get something in your stomach?
It depends. It really depends on people, and it depends on your workout regime. Like if you're getting
Okay.
up like if you can get up and do your workout on an empty
Sure.
stomach, you're going to be better off because your body will still be tapping into your fat stores to get you through your workout.
Okay.
Unless your workout's being suffered, and so you need to eat something before you work out. So it just depends on, you know, where you are and what you're doing and with your lifestyle. And so, but the longer you can wait. And so some people, when they're doing intermittent fasting, they kind of, until they can get to where they can survive off of those 2 meals, that's where those people need a little bit of a snack sometimes, just to mentally help them not feel like they're starving.
Right. Right.
And I'm slightly distracted because it is pouring at my house.
Is it really? Wow.
Which is awesome. It's kind of loud, so.
That's good. We need the rain, so that's good.
I know. Well, and I'm flipped around with my kitchen in my background because I will be showing some snacks and foods, and so I'm able to look out my windows, and it looks really cool.
Wonderful. So now back to the question about the snacks. You know, if how can you avoid eating the snacks? You know, besides gluing my mouth, how do I avoid it?
So before I even answer that, really address what if you're hungry. And if you truly are hungry, then you need to kind of roll the clock back and look at your previous meal and think, did I eat enough?
Right.
You know, how long has it been since I've eaten? If it's been 4 or 5 hours and you're trying to work towards intermittent fasting, just do a small snack. And that snack needs to be very full of fat, protein, and fiber, like no carbs. And the reason for that is we don't want to spike your glycemic, you know, your glucose. And so, but you really just have to address, why are you hungry right now? Why do you feel like you want a snack? And if it's because of boredom, then find something else to do. Go get a big glass of cold water, or you can drink bubbly water, but avoid sugars. Like, and that's the thing is, you know, people have a tendency to snack on really refined things, easy to grab chips, Hershey Kisses, you know, things like that. And so it's like, keep things complex, but stick to fats, proteins, and fiber.
Fats, proteins, and what else? I'm sorry?
Fiber.
Okay,
Fiber.
and fiber. All right. Mm-hmm.
And so it's hailing at my house now.
Wow. Completely sunny over here where I am.
Yeah, it's hailing.
Wow.
So so if you're dying for that snack, just kind of roll the clock back and think about what your previous meal was, and make sure that you're eating, when you're eating your meals, that you've got your fat, protein, carb. It's a really complete meal, and it's plenty of calories. Because if you're skimping, that's when your brain is like, later on, is kind of thinking, I need more to sustain myself. So if you're eating a solid meal, you should be able to last quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
You really should. So if you're gonna want to do snacks, you know, some of the things to really consider are nuts. Nuts are very, very, they're high in protein, high in fat, and a lot of fiber. And so I love nuts. Like for me, because I do about 2 meals, I do 2 meals a day. But if I have a big training, if I'm training really hard and my body is needing more calories, these are the snacks that I go to. And so and I know when I'm hungry, because I've gotten really good at listening to the cues of my body. You know, it's not because I'm bored and I know I've eaten a good meal prior. It's just my body's needing the calories to recover, because that's really why we eat, is to recover and supply our body with nutrients in order to survive and keep moving. So the more you're moving, the more you need. But nuts are a go-to for me. And so I make my own trail mix, because I don't like the pre-made trail mixes. I rarely find one that I like. I did find one a while ago at Costco, because I don't like the nuts salted, because they're super, super salty. And even though we can, you know, handle a lot of salt here in Arizona in the desert, I just don't like, because it just eats at my mouth. So and then I sometimes will throw in some dried fruit, just for a little bit of sugar. I don't always have dried fruit in there, but so it's really minimal when I put it in there, but it's just because it's just a tiny bit. And plus, the nice thing about a trail mix or nuts is they can go, here in Arizona, you can carry them all the time. You don't have to worry about them spoiling or melting or anything like that. So nuts are a go-to for me. And I typically, in my mix, you can't really see it very well, but I always have walnuts, pecans, almonds, sometimes cashews, pumpkin seeds. And then for my dried fruit, I'll just do a few dried cranberries or golden raisins or little mango chunks, like little tiny ones. So it's really minimal, the fruit that's in there. But I love nuts. Like that's my go-to. And these, if you're going to, this is the walnut. It's like a perfect walnut.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a great snack. The thing with nuts is you've got to make sure you're doing portion control appropriately, because nuts are so loaded with fats and calories, and you can easily consume a crazy amount of calories. So I typically will put it like in a small container, or if I'm using a Ziploc bag, I usually only fill it like half full, or you can get the snack bags that are like really short. I try not to eat out of the big, my mix that I make, because then I'll just sit there and I'm just,
keep going.
Well enough that,
Can you demonstrate just real fast, what a serving looks like? Let's say one serving of those nuts that you had in the cup.
Like a handful. Like this is a really small bowl. And so this is literally like a big handful. And then that's all you need. It really is.
So that would be considered basically one serving?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. I've never understood that.
About a half to 3/4 of a cup in here.
Okay.
And so what I tell people is, like, when you're thinking about a serving, and this is so old school, but it's true, is like, think about a deck of cards, like how it can fit in the palm of your hand. So nuts, just like a big handful, and then call it good. And just give yourself some time to digest it. That's the thing with snacking, that people have a tendency to like turn it into a full-on meal. And that's why we have a weight issue in this country. And so when you're having a snack, be very diligent. It's a snack. So keep it small and don't keep going back to it. Like, think about, as a parent, think about when you're talking to your kids, like when they're having a snack, it's like, don't ruin your dinner, so think the same way for yourself, so really be diligent, and think ahead and portion control it out if you're going somewhere. Another go-to snack at my house is these little cheese things, like
right.
The baby
the ones you just peel.
And this is perfect, or a typical cheese stick. And what we like to throw with these I buy the heirloom cherry tomatoes, because they're all different colors.
Oh, I love that idea.
We just do like a handful of little cherry tomatoes with the cheese, and that's a perfect snack, because you've got your fat, you've got some fiber, so it's, and there's fat and protein in the cheese. So cheese and little cherry tomatoes go really, really well together.
Sure, exactly.
I love
We, for those that are just tuning into our Facebook Live, we are talking to Coach SheriAnne. If you have any questions about healthy snacks, she will be happy to answer your questions. If you can just type them up real fast on the message board, and Coach SheriAnne will take the time to answer the questions during the show or after the show if we don't have time. So back to the healthy snacks, Coach SheriAnne.
So another one of my favorites is a hard-boiled egg.
Okay.
It's so easy.
Simple
it's so simple, and I like to sprinkle. I have a chili lime seasoning.
Yes,
and it's so good to just like sprinkle it on the hard-boiled egg, and then you're good to go. And eggs are a perfect protein.
Yes,
and so it has a full amino acid profile. Eggs are very, very good for you. Eat the whole egg. Don't dump the yolk.
Many people do that, right? They just eat the white stuff.
Yeah, but you're not getting the benefit of the protein in the egg white without the yolk. You're just not, your body's not going to utilize it the way it's supposed to be used. So so I will peel an egg, I'll cut it in half, and I'll sprinkle my chili lime on it, and then it's really easy to do. So hard-boiled eggs are another really great snack. We also make energy bites here at my house, because I do have 3 children. They do
energy bites.
Yeah. Yep. So they're just these little. We make them homemade. So they're just these little balls that you can. It's like a 1 bite.
Oh yeah.
And so it's In these, we put peanut butter, ground
Hmm.
flaxseed, chia seeds, oats, honey, coconut, and vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and it's just a nice little combo. And, you know, I can just throw one of these in and I'm satisfied because it's just the perfect amount of fat and fiber and
Hmm.
protein. There's also a little bit of honey in there, so there's some sugar. And so, but when we make these, my son usually makes them and he puts them away. But he's also 15 and 6'1", and
He's packing it in.
yes, he's got
I
a
think we
Hollywood.
have a question we have a question from Kathy. Do you prefer raw nuts over roasted nuts for a snack?
That is a really great question. So I typically do, especially with almonds. And for me, it's just a matter of the taste of it. There's a lot of controversy on when it's been roasted, like how it's been roasted, how it's been handled, whereas raw is so much better for you. There's really, it's sixes. It really is.
Right.
So there's really nothing. It's not that one's better for you than the other. It's really a personal preference on if you want
Okay.
a raw or a roasted. Um, in my personal opinion, there's other arguments out there that raw is better for you. It's more for me when it comes to nuts, the salt. So if you're buying salted nuts at the store, what I recommend is you buy a bag of salted and a bag of unsalted and then mix them. Because if
Mm,
you're buying just the salted, it is a crazy. I've never found a bag of salted nuts where it's just like a little salted.
right.
It's so much
Too,
salt.
too
So
much. Yeah.
yeah, so I just mix the unsalted and the salted. So raw versus roasted, it's a total personal preference, but the salt and unsalted, just really watch the salt.
Okay.
Really
Got it.
watch the salt.
Hmm.
Another one of favorites in my house is, and I left the seal on it so that would be easy to show, but is olives. And I buy the ones with that have mozzarella in them also.
Hmm.
So we've got like 3 different kinds of olives in here, and there's little mozzarella chunks. And olives are so good for you. This really falls into the whole category of the Mediterranean diet. Um,
Right.
Olives are very, very, very good for you. Good for your skin, hair, nails, your body. The fat in olives is really excellent. So
Yeah.
this is a really good one. This is one that I have to portion control this one for me personally because I love them so much. Um, so if I'm having this as a snack, I'm very diligent about what I'm doing and how many I'm having. But I do love putting this stuff on a salad at night too.
Yeah.
Um, so olives are a great snack too. You can easily grab those up and have those, and they'll be really healthy for you and they'll sustain you. The thing about snacking is making sure that you're choosing something that has some sustainability to it in the sense of it's going to sustain you and it's not going to just uh, make you more hungry or make you crash. And that's why we want to stay away from refined foods and foods that have a lot of sugar. And so that's why I'm saying if you're going to snack, focus on doing a fat, a protein, and fiber, because then you'll be much more satiated, not sustained. Satiated was the word I was looking for. Sorry. But it's being satiated so that you're not looking for something again in a few more hours, so make sure that you've got your fat, protein, and fibers in there.
Okay. Very good. What about yogurt?
Ah,
Oh, there you go. That was the next one, huh?
so so this is actually cottage cheese and yogurt because I know it sounds
Okay.
weird to blend them two together, but I really love cottage cheese. And I really love Greek yogurt. They're both high in protein. And then I love the colors of the rainbow. You've always heard me talk about the colors of the rainbow. So I've got some kiwi, strawberries, and blueberries on here. Because there's a lot of antioxidants in those fruits. And so this is a great snack. So if you're doing yogurt, do the plain yogurt. Don't buy the stuff with the sugar or the stuff on the bottom, the fruit on the bottom, because it's so high in sugar. So if you don't like, once you add fruit to it, it actually sweetens it
Sure.
for me just enough. But I've trained my taste buds. If you're
Mhm.
used to the sugary yogurts, just buy the plain and then sweeten it a little bit with your own honey or maple syrup or agave nectar, something that you prefer as a sweetener, but just do a little bit until you can train yourself to have less of it.
Sure.
Because that's the thing with sugar. Sugar is the number one addictive chemical in the United
Yeah.
States.
Yes.
So, but
Yeah.
Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, it's great. And sometimes I like grape nuts and I like a little bit of a crunch. So I'll sprinkle some grape nuts on the top just to kind of give it a little bit of texture. This actually happens to be like a mini meal, what I would call a mini meal. This is a bigger than just a snack.
Sure.
So
Well, so we have a question from Todd Silva. He's asking low fat versus 4%.
so I'm assuming on the yogurt and cottage cheese. So I go
Yeah.
full fledged. Like I do. I don't even think mine's low fat, and I'm not even sure what percentage it is. But I definitely do with the fat. Like I don't buy fat free.
You don't? Okay. Uh-huh.
No, because
All
the
right.
problem with the fat free is that it has a tendency to have added sugars in it because it. So it's just that's how it is in our industry. Like if it's fat free, it's usually got something else in it that is not good for you.
That's
So
true.
eat
Well, we
the
got to watch that.
yeah, eat
that
the
is.
fat.
And Dana has a comment that that's her favorite snack. She's never tried mixing cottage cheese and yogurt. So Dana, hey, there you go. That's a great example there. I'm gonna try it for sure.
Creamier.
Sounds really good.
I just
no
like
kidding.
the cottage cheese and yogurt together. It just makes it a little creamier, and it's I love it.
It sounds delicious.
And some people like to add granola. So the one thing I will say about adding granola to your yogurt or cottage cheese is just be cognizant of the amount of sugar in the granola. They have gotten really good at having grain-free granola out there to make it a little more complete and complex for you. And so you can buy granola that's a little lower in sugar and higher in protein. So you can add that if you're wanting a little bit of a crunch, because sometimes some people like that crunch.
Yeah. It's always good. But yeah, we got to watch that sugar. Definitely.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing about crunch is like some people want like a potato chip. Like they're just wanting, something crunchy. And it's like there's so many things that if you want to do that, I'm going to tell you to not deprive yourself. Just try to find, if that's what you're wanting, just keep it in moderation. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things I do preach to people when it comes to nutrition is if you feel like you're craving something and you're wanting something really bad, like there's something in your body that needs that. And it might be the salt on the potato chip. Who knows? Sure. But don't deprive yourself, but just be cognizant of, one of the biggest things I'm always telling people is, why are you eating? What is the purpose of eating?
What's causing it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And be connected to your food. Recognize the fact that what you're putting in your body is giving you the ability to live and survive. And so, be connected to that. Like understand that like this came from, a plant. It came from somewhere, and it's giving you the ability to survive. And so pay attention, like chew your food. We've gotten to the place in life where we're not even really chewing as much anymore. We're eating such highly processed foods that we're not even chewing, and so really chew your food.
That's wonderful. So we have a little bit less than 2.5 minutes, but so fruits, when you talk about fruits as a healthy snack, what fruits would you recommend? Apples? What else do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the crunchy thing, because that's what I was going to say, and I got, but so if you're looking, like eat an apple or get some celery, and people are always like celery. I'm like, but dip it in some peanut butter. Who doesn't love peanut butter? Like peanut butter is so yummy. But yeah, so with fruits and vegetables, like mainly fruits, berries are very good for you because there's a lot of antioxidants in them. If you're worried about your glycemic index, stay away from really sugary ones. Like pineapple has a lot of sugar in it. Bananas have a lot of sugar. Or if you're going to do that, like one of a snack that we do every now and again is cantaloupe, but we wrap it in prosciutto.
Oh, interesting. Really, in prosciutto.
It's because prosciutto is a little salty, and putting the little bit of the salt, but prosciutto is so thin. But when you wrap it around a cantaloupe, like the mixture of the sweet cantaloupe and the meat actually allows your body to digest the sugar better because you've got fat and meat in there, fat and protein. But so just, as far as fruits go, apples are good. Apples are really good, actually. But so the more sugary fruits, just try to avoid if you're snacking.
That's wonderful. Great tips for healthy snacks, Coach SheriAnne. What do we have to look forward in 2 weeks?
We're going to talk about some healthy breakfast options.
Healthy breakfast. Okay, very wonderful. Great options out there. I bet you've got some great recipes that you will be touching on. So can't wait to listen in and take some notes. You've given us great tips here for the healthy snacks. I am going to use those tips and put them into use. So thank you so much. Any last parting words?
No, just, really be embraced, embrace your food in the sense
Yeah.
of being connected to it. And be purposeful when you're eating.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Coach SheriAnne, and to all of those of you watching us and following us on Facebook. We thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again on May 11th with Coach SheriAnne on our Back to Basics, and we will be talking about healthy breakfast. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you.